Hi, it's Jim Dodson, the Florida Bike Guy. So, how important is hope? The other night, as everybody's doing, my wife and I watched a movie on Netflix called Fanny's Journey, an amazing film, French film. I want to just talk to you about an incident that occurred in that film, which I think demonstrates this point so beautifully. This is a film about took place in France in early years of World War II. The Jews had begun to invade France. The parents of Jewish children who couldn't evacuate with them were sending children off, trying to get them into Italy, thinking that it was safer in Italy. And so many parents with small children were sending them off by the busload into Italy. And this follows a family of three children. The oldest is Fanny. She appears to be maybe 13 years old. About their journey, because of course they don't get to where they need to be. Events happen along the way. These kids end up basically on their own, trying to journey to Italy. And when they get there, they find the Germans are there. They had many days of hardship on the road, jumping freight trains and sleeping and hiking and not eating and not having enough of anything really for many days. And finally, they get to this point where they're close now. They're in Italy, but they recognize that the Germans have beat them there and that they cannot stay and that their position is very precarious. And they're trying to get over into Switzerland. And these kids range from her age. There was one older girl who might have been 16, but she was not acting as the leader. This girl, Fanny, was. And of course, she had two siblings with her. And, some kids that really looked like they might have been 5 years old, about the age of a couple of my grandkids. So it's really touching to watch the struggle of these kids to get out of danger. But they're at a place where they were within striking distance of where they needed to be, but they had a lot of hardship ahead of them to get there. And they had a moment in the film where Fanny had received a note from this man who had befriended them along the journey. He gave her this note and said, take this with you. The address of where you need to deliver this is inside the note, and deliver it, and I will meet you there. Well, they get to this place, and she's held this note for many days, and she opens the note on this particular morning, and it's empty. There's no information on it. The kids are all standing around and trying to determine, where does he want us to go? What does the note say? And this little girl, on her own, sort of makes up a story about what the note said. She said, he's thinking about us. He says we're going to be safe. He tells us we're going to make it. We're going to find our parents, and we're going to find him when we get into Switzerland. And the light on the faces of these children was just amazing. The transformation with hearing that message of hope, that message of reassurance that we are going to make it. All of these things, these dangers are going to pass. We're going to make it through. You can just see the light shine in their faces there, and they begin to smile, and their countenance changed. Everything changed about their attitude and their willingness to continue based on this little 4 or 5 line story that Fanny created because she needed to, in that moment, on her own, to give them the hope that they needed. Now, I'm not going to give away everything about the movie, but I thought that if anything demonstrates the power of hope, the power to transform how we think, which transforms how we feel and what we do, and ultimately what we achieve, whether we're trying to escape the Germans, we're trying to deal with this emergency virus economy we're dealing with right now. Let's give each other that hope that it will be better. It's going to be better. We know everyone says it's going to be better. We will get through this. We'll get to the end of this line. The story doesn't end here. These companies are going to open. We're going back to work. We're going back to doing the things we did before. We just need to get from where we are to where we hope to be and are convinced in our hearts that we will be We need to help other people have that hope and not get diminished by our reaction and fear. So let's give that hope today, and let's make that hope available, not only in our own hearts and minds, but to those around us who need it. And there's going to be, everybody has a different need at a different time. Somebody that you're going to run into today or tomorrow is going to need that message of hope. And even if they don't tell you, they're going to appreciate it if you give it to them. And a reassurance that things will be okay. I'm Jim Dodson, the Florida Bike Guy.